I am DYANAROZAY, and I bring a unique commentary to your favorite reality TV shows and whatever is popping on social media. If you are not a subscriber, please become one. Hit that notification bell too, that way you don't miss any of my videos. I go by DYANAROZAY on all platforms, and I appreciate every single one of y'all for rocking with me. What's up, Supreme Team? Welcome to the channel. It's your girl, DYANAROZAY, and I'm here to bring y'all the latest review for Real Housewives of Atlanta, episode 9, which was good. I really enjoyed it. There were some filler scenes, but for the most part, I'm going to give it a strong 8 out of 10. Porsha Williams has doubled down on everything. People are pissed. She has been doubling down not only in the episode, but in the after show where she called Angela Big Bird, Bionic Ears, the whole 9 show. She was letting loose. And a lot of people are asking for some sort of karmic retribution for poor Porsha. They want her to get the sugars and lose a toe or a foot or something. Okay. But Miss Angela Oakley, who is running things over there at RHOA, said karma's going to have to get behind her because she has next on Porsha Williams. I'm going to tell you guys about everything. Just hit the like button, share the video, and become a subscriber. Okay. Now let's get to it. So the show opens up with Miss Cynthia Bailey, friend of the show, meeting with all the ladies to find out what happened after she went to bed, child. She said, listen, nothing is open after midnight except for legs. She said the ER and the police department. Outside of that, she said she went to bed and now everything has gone awry. So Miss Kelly said, I know you was getting your beauty sleep. Let me catch you up. And she did. She said, basically, Angela's hot as hell because Porsha Williams said she was going to sleep with that woman's husband. Shamia said, when we got back to Atlanta, I ended up sending Angela a text trying to see where her head was at, letting her know, what's up, girl? Are you okay? And she said Angela sent her back a 4-page letter that basically told Shamia that she can kick rocks along with the rest of that fake ass sisterhood. She said she don't play those games, okay? And that they don't have the same morals and values. They are not aligned, but this is not a game she plays when it comes to Charles. And we all know this to be true. From the very first episode, you could see that Charles Oakley is Angela's Achilles heel. Now, I said Angela was the breakout star and I loved her. I didn't want her or Charles to change because, baby, they are funny to me. But Angela ends up meeting with Cynthia to get, tell her side. And she said, listen, let me back it up. Everything they told you was right. I don't play those games. I have a group of female friends who are wives, and they would have never let Porsha walk with the mess she said. They would have never let her say it, okay? If it did come out of her mouth, they would have checked her ass so fast, she would have thought her head was spinning. So Cynthia's taking it all in, but she's like, and all of them was doing it? She said every last one of them. Every last one of them is a puppet for Porsha Williams. And she said, Shamia, even though I know that's her best friend, she shocked the hell out of me because out of everybody down there, Shamia is a wife. So she was hot. Now, I told y'all in my last episode, in my last review, I said Shamia is messy boots, and she's the type of messy that gets under people's skin. People want all these things from her because she's rich and she's beautiful and she's talented. But yeah, she got some of the same behaviors as Porsha. They're fun girls, you know what I'm saying? And these are the kind of things that happen. For people that's a little more conservative, they don't rock with it. And Miss Angela is never going to be friends with Porsha. Even if they, appear cool for some things, they're always going to have beef forever. Okay. But Angela told Cynthia that she ran Porsha's ass from up out of there. Okay. She said, I came down them steps because it was about to be on. And Porsha ran out of there so fast. I told y'all that I have been right about every single review. She said Porsha ran up out of there so fast. It was like she was never down there. Okay. Then Cynthia meets up with Porsha to get her side of things. And at first, Porsha said, listen, I don't even remember saying it. Okay. But then Porsha said, listen, I probably did say it. Okay. Let's say I said it. Let's say I said it. So what? She wasn't supposed to hear it. So Porsha's like, I'm not going to be apologetic for some shit she wasn't supposed to hear. She was upstairs being nosy, listening to my conversation, the one I was having with my friends. I was having fun. I was letting off steam. Okay. This is how Porsha's relaying it. She's like, at the end of the day, it is what it is. I'll tell you what, though. I wouldn't sleep with no woman's husband, and I damn sure ain't sleeping with Charles. And I'm not even gonna repeat it. I'm not gonna say it again. And you know what else I'm not gonna say? I'm not gonna say what I heard recently about Charles, which leaves Cynthia's mouth open, but it lets us know that Portia's for the shit. She's like, at the end of the day, Angela don't scare me. I might have ran away from that pool the first time because I was drunk. But a sober Porsha, I'll go toe to toe with Angela. This is what she's telling Cynthia Bailey right here in this scene, child. I was floored. So next we have a filler scene with Miss Kelly. She throws a over $1,000 birthday party, child, for her dog Cha Cha. And people came, everybody came, including Britt. And her and Britt basically just talks about her mother moving and how her sisters, who didn't mess with her for several years because she had her own insurance company and fired them, she said now after the Kenya thing, they are more empathetic to me and they gave me a call and we're working on things. Then we get a little scene with Porsha, her mother, and her sister Lauren. Now, Porsha is filming in her old house, which is the house her mama lives in now, Mama Diane. When she comes in, she gives little P a dog. And she said that P has been asking for a sibling. She said, I can't buy one of them. So she bought her a dog instead. Lauren asks what's going on with her divorce to Simon. And Porsha says, well, the judge has upheld the prenup, so there shouldn't be anything left except setting a new court date. Porsha also tells them that Drew and Dennis did film together, that Dennis filmed with Drew behind her back, and she found out about it when she was out there having her birthday party, which caused her to blow a gasket and be in a bad mood. And she said at this point in time, her and Dennis are not friendly at all. They talk about PJ and they hang up the phone. She says she is tired of Dennis backdooring the housewives. And then she looks at the camera and said, pause. Just so y'all know, these are all little clues that Porsha is putting out, and she's trying to say what she knows about Drew without saying what she knows about Drew. You understand what I'm talking about? Let's move on. Oh, I almost forgot. She did tell her mama and her sister that she was talking about Angela while she was out there at that pool, and that Angela came down on her. So she basically was saying, listen, she almost tried to get me, child, but I ran up them steps before she did. Okay. Now we can move on. Next, we get a little scene with Shamia, who meets up with the surrogate agency to meet her new surrogate, the person who's supposed to carry her son, her and Gerald's son. I think that the surrogate's name is Asha. And her and Gerald just have a small conversation with her, and they let her know that they are excited. Shamia does say in her confessional, she is begging God to give her a healthy baby because she's not sure if she can handle another bad situation. Okay, now we get Miss Angela and Charles Oakley, y'all. This was a great scene. So at the very beginning, I don't know if anybody caught it, but Angela and Charles are, doing this little boxing thing. Angela's punching into his hands, and she says, let me tell you about Nashville, which is the exact same melody as I am going to see my husband. I'm happy. I'm happy. It's a little, Google it on TikTok if you haven't seen it. Put it in the search bar. I'm going to see my husband. Beyonce sings it, okay? I am going to see my husband. I thought that shit was fly. I loved it. I was like, Angela gets giddy when she is around this man. Anyway, let's get into it. So Angela catches him up about Nashville. She said, listen, I tried to call you. He said, I was in Tampa. Tell me what happened. So she said, well, I invited Drew to the party. Charles cocks his head sideways and said, why the hell would you invite Drew to someone else's party? Now, this is hilarious. So she was like, well, this is something you would do. He said, no, I wouldn't. Angela in confessional says, listen, sometimes when I want to get a hater's point of view, I will ask my husband because he loves to play devil's advocate. So when I want to hear what the haters think, I just go to my husband. So Charles is looking at her sideways, and she said, "Oh, okay. So you on Portia's side now? You on Portia's side? Okay. Well, let me continue to tell you the story to see if you're still on Portia's side." Then she says, "Well, we was, at the table when I got into it a little bit. I asked her why she take that lady's husband, and now Charles go, well, how do you know she took somebody's husband?" Angela said, "The streets." Charles said, "That's the worst place to get your news is from the streets." And then she said, "Well, she told me to kiss her ass." And he said, "Well, maybe you shouldn't have said, why'd you take that lady's husband?" So now she's still looking at him crazy. She said, "Oh, okay, okay. Well, let me tell you this, since you on the Porsche train." See, this is what she said about you, Charles. This is what she said about you. Apparently, you're real easy to fuck. Okay. And he looked at her like, "Am I?" She said, "Well, according to Porsha, she said you out here effing everybody. And that maybe she'll F you. She might throw you some." Charles said, "No, no, she can't F me." Now that part, I was like, "That's right, Charles. Be quick. Get on it." He said, "Not me, she won't." Then Charles said, like an old black mama, "And what did you do?" Okay. Don't come telling me no story about how somebody played you unless you got a bigger story about what you did. This is what I love. So she said, "Oh, yeah, I came down on her. I went down there to confront her, and she ran out of there real quick. She didn't want it with me." And Charles said, "Well, listen, when you and Portia about to go at it, make sure I have a front row seat. I want a ticket. Okay, West Side Chicago?" Basically, whoop that bitch with that trick. Okay. Charles and Angela is the gift that keep on giving. She started laughing because she got the approval she was looking for. And that is how the scene ended. So now we get a scene with Dennis and Portia, okay? Even though Portia told her mama that she wasn't talking to Dennis, you can tell that they made up. These two got mad chemistry on screen. There's no denying it. And I don't care if we can see this on screen, then anybody who know these two people in person, they can see it, period, okay? They might not have to tell her all the time, but they definitely see it. Dennis is at the house. Portia is interviewing an African au pair. She's all things African, even if it's not Simon. You know what I'm saying? She wants all things African. But Dennis is there and he's making jokes like, "Why you need an au pair?" She said, "Well, I got things that I'm going to be doing. And she can live in the house. And when I got to go and blah, blah, blah." And he was like, "Things you got to be doing." So he's making little jokes. She's giggling. When I tell y'all she had all of her breasts out, all of them was out. Anyway, they interview the young lady and Portia's like, "You got the job." She has her sister Lauren take the girl to the house that, her house was Simon because she's not allowed to film in it, while her and Dennis stays in the house she gave her mama, her old house. And she says, "Listen, you and I, we need to talk about our friendship." And that's when Dennis is looking at her kind of sideways, like, "Oh shit, this is about Drew." And she said, "You got to tell me what you two got going on, because you and I talked about filming and here you are filming. And I'm trying to get over all this stuff, Dennis, but there's a lot of lying going on." Now, Dennis says, "You don't have anything to worry about because I'm not her manager anymore. I'm not her manager anymore." Now, before, he's still the executive producer of the album, but he's telling Portia he's removed himself from the everyday duties of Drew's manager, which I found to be very interesting. Portia pulls out her phone and she said, "Well, didn't you say that she wanted to F you, sleep with you?" Dennis makes this hokey pokey face, like, "What the fuck?" Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the wheels of of a car just stopped. Like, "What are you doing?" And then Portia starts reading it and she says, "All you have to do is say yes." So she's basically implying that Dennis asked her if it was okay to sleep with Drew. All you have to do is say yes, okay? All you have to do is say yes. Dennis jumps out of his seat, runs over, looks at it, puts on this smirk, went back, sat down, and said, "You misinterpreted that." What other way is there to interpret it? He did not tell us. He did not say what the message really meant. He just said, "You misinterpreted that." Dennis absolutely threw Drew under the bus. I don't care what y'all say. I told y'all that Drew was vulnerable. I know people are like, she would never do that. Da, 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 da. Listen, Drew was out there with Ty Young, and all those rumors came out about that. She was out there with Ty Young's arm wrapped around her entire throat. That is not what a girlfriend does with another girlfriend. I'm sorry. I have never. That's what you do with somebody you bumping and grinding with, but not the other way around. Drew was vulnerable. I think she was probably feeling Dennis, and I think Dennis asked Porsha's permission to lay down with her, and Porsha probably gave some smart ass or whatever answer, but he was not expecting Porsha to pull that out. I don't know why, but he wasn't. Anyway, at the end of it, it all looks bad for Drew. And I want to say this. It was Shamia who started that conversation that we all know, saying that Drew was dressed like Dennis. They were holding hands. They were in dark, seedy clubs, hugged up together. It was Porsha's other friend who said that Drew was rocking Dennis's mic, and now Porsha wants to pull out the text message to show, listen, I know what you were doing because Dennis tells me about all of his conquests. So we shall see what happens next, but this looks nasty, nasty boots. Okay, now we have another scene with Britt, and I realize producers, they have to know that they rolled the dice and they got snake eyes with Britt, period. They're trying to humanize her, which is fine. They got her with her mother, her mother, her grandmother, and her sisters. But this scene just didn't hit. She's packing up her mother's house. Her sister, I guess, is still grieving the passing of her father. So she gets into it with her mama, talking about why did you get rid of daddy's things? And Britt is supposed to come off as the peacemaker, or the one that is that has the level head of the group. The problem is Britt doesn't have a level head with anybody else. You know what I'm saying? Over the simplest of things, Britt will turn that shit upside down. So I don't care what she does with her family when she can't handle herself with the rest of the cast in a way that suggests, she knows what she's doing. So I'm going to call this a filler scene. Y'all got to find something else to do with Britt. Okay, so we got the last scene of the show. This is the Bailey barbecue, okay? Cynthia Bailey has invited a psychic child. We got a cameo appearance from Mal. The sister Mal looks beautiful, by the way. But she had a house full of people throwing a party for the girls, trying to get everybody okay. And they all straggle in one by one. Britt was the first to arrive. She sits down with the psychic. The psychic tells Britt that she's putting something on pause, something about her business life being on pause, and that she needs to, tighten up a little bit. Anyway, she's like, oh my God, you really reached my soul, right? I think Kelly comes in next, and the prophet tells Kelly there's something that happened with a car. A man did something with a car. He's very vindictive, that he was just doing that to get at you for X, Y, and Z. And Kelly's like, oh my God, child, because I never told anybody that except for Britt. So how did you know that? So the prophet's like, I'm good, girl. Just in case you didn't know, I'm good at what I do. Shamia comes in. She's talking to Shamia. Then we get Miss Angela Oakley dressed in yellow. She looked amazing, by the way, but she's dressed in yellow. She said, y'all called me Big Bird. Big Bird is what your ass is about to get, child. So she came in. That wig was laid. That makeup was on point. She sat her ass down. And the second she sat down, Britt, like a damn 12-year-old, starts whispering to Kelly, staring at Angela and whispering to Kelly. Now she know damn well she can't fight Angela. I'm not sure why this girl is asking for trouble. This is the problem. She pokes at people and she does not take any accountability for it. Now the psychic looks over at Shamia and she tells her, girl, you're going to make the most money you've ever made in your life in 2025. And then she also tells Shamia that she needs to keep it low, which makes all the other girls drink a shot, because if you know anything about Shamia, is that she likes to be the life of the party, child. She doesn't keep anything low. She is in your face and with it. Okay. What else does she say? She tells Angela, the prophet tells Angela that she needs to mix things up. She said, girl, you too reserved at the house. You're gonna have to start taking initiative and doing things, making things fun. And Angela gets it. She's like, oh, okay. She said, listen, foreplay for Charles is cleaning the house. So I'll try to figure it out. Maybe I'll go over to Victoria's Secrets, right after this. Again, this is making Britt laugh, and she's doing the most. Let's just say that she's doing the most. Now, while this is happening, Porsha walks in. She walks right past Angela. Angela on confessional says, I ain't got shit to give to Porsha until she apologizes to me. I'm not saying shit to Porsha, but her nerves, you can tell her energy rose. And she's watching Britt, who's right across from her. And she asks her, what's up, Britt? I see you over there. You got something for me? Is there something you got to say to me? Now, there's a lot going on in this scene all at the same time. Porsha sits down right beside the psychic, and she introduces herself and she goes, oh, you're a psychic. Let me guess. I'm going through a divorce and I'm going to do this, right? So she just rattles off some stuff that's in the press, and she basically blows off the psychic's, talents, okay? Drew Sidora says something, and the psychic says to Drew, don't worry, I'm going to talk to Drew in private. She and I already talked. Now, this makes Porsha laugh because she's like, well, the bitch loves to lie in public. Why not just get the psychic to tell the business in public, right? So she's still feeling away clearly, even though her and Dennis seem to be back on the same page. But Drew is trying to keep Angela calm, and Angela said, I'm not for this shit. So Drew jumps up and she gets out of there because her and Britt are going at it. Britt says, you don't think that you should, do what the psychic's telling you to do? Didn't that resonate for you? And Angela's like, what are you talking about? And she was like, what the psychic said about your husband, about you and your husband. And they get into it tough, girl. Britt is sitting here talking about how Charles got a baby on the outside, and that if Angela would learn how to, put something in her mouth and satisfy her husband at home, he wouldn't be looking for it outside. Angela said, bitch, listen, I do what I need to do at home. It's just that I don't do it as much as you, okay? Your mouth with all the stretch marks around it. Now, this pisses Britt off. She's like, stretch marks? And she hops up out of her seat. I don't have it. Show me. Where's the stretch marks? And she was like, you got miles on your mouth, bitch. What do you mean? Like, it's not connecting to her. She wants to have the perfect face, I guess. If somebody tells you you got stretch marks around your damn mouth, you know what they're talking about. This girl is acting like she's insulted because, oh, how dare you talk about my skin, I guess. Angela said, girl, you're a whore, and everybody know you're a whore. She is popping off. Everybody is looking at Angela like, bitch, I don't want it with Angela. Drew Sidora is across the room talking about, I can't be over there. Of course you can't, child. And it's not because you don't want to be a part of the mess. It's because you don't want the mess to come for you, okay? Because we already know, I know at least, what's going on. But Drew Sidora is in confessional now, and she said, listen, the ancestors would not be happy. And she starts moaning like a Negro spiritual child. I howled. I howled. Okay, so after all of that goes down, when Britt realized she lost the fight, okay, she lost it. Her and Kelly, Britt and Kelly, do a sidebar where you could see Kelly ask Britt, what was going on? And Britt says, listen, she's real sensitive about that husband. That's proof that things aren't as happy as she wants people to think at home. In the meantime, Miss Cynthia wants to patch things up with Angela, Porsha, and Shamia. So she asked for Angela and Porsha to go and have a seat outside of the group. She puts them in a small room and said, y'all need to talk this out, okay? So Angela is in there with her fan child because she is burning up. And this time the wig is still laid down. She burning up because everybody else got her cortisol levels. Miss Britt had her cortisol levels up. But Porsha comes in, she sits down like, well, what's up, girl? She was like, Porsha, I didn't know that Drew was going to send you to that place. And Porsha said, yeah, it's not really about Drew anymore, okay? It's not about Drew, but you and I are toe to toe now. She said, no, I didn't want her there. I didn't want Drew there, but it wasn't Drew. It was what happened after Drew that pissed me off. Okay. So Angela's like, well, I don't think that you're saying you should F my husband. Charles should have been the way. And Porsha said, you weren't supposed to hear that. Okay. You weren't supposed to hear that. I was talking to my friends. Fine. Am I not supposed to have fun and talk to my friends? I guess I'm not supposed to do that. Finally, Cynthia comes back in like, is this settled? And Porsha said, I didn't get no apology from her. I didn't get an apology from her. Angela said, apology for what? And she said, you came from my husband. Porsha said, you came from mine first. Then Angela said, okay, cool. I apologize for what I said about you and your husband. I did not know that that was going to be a problem. I'm sorry. And then Cynthia looks at Porsha and said, Porsha? And she goes, ditto. Ditto. And then she goes, okay. And if I said anything to offend you, then I apologize too. That's when Cynthia said, can we get a hug? And Angela and Porsha give this fake ass hug, child, but it was enough. This fake ass hug. Cynthia ushers Porsha out the room so she could bring in Shamia. Shamia's like, why am I here? Like, I didn't do nothing. I didn't say anything. But she goes in, she sits down and she says, listen, Angela, I'm really shocked that we're even here because I thought, we were cool. And Angela lets her know. She said, you wrote me that long text message. I wasn't expecting that. And Angela lets her know, well, I wasn't expecting you to find that shit funny. Like, you're a wife. This woman is talking about sleeping with somebody's husband. That's low. And Shamia said, child, I laughed at my uncle's funeral while the casket was open. Like, that's just who I am as a person. You can't hold that over me. I can't change who I am. When it comes to that, it is what it is. That wasn't my business. Your problem is with Porsha, and you got to keep it with Porsha. I'm not fighting that battle for you or for her. And Angela was like, okay, cool. Now, at the end of it, they really didn't resolve anything. Angela's like, I didn't like you first, bitch, okay? I didn't like you for a couple of reasons. I had a feeling about you. And what just happened at that pool doubled down on my feelings. So you were somebody I don't play with, especially since I dropped my guard. I took that little olive oil as an olive branch thing. So this is why Angela's mad at Shamia. She felt like I should have just kept you out of my circle and not had any type of feeling for you. But I let my guard down to welcome you in. And this is how you repay me. And I should have trusted my first instinct. Okay. So yeah. Anyway, y'all, that is how the show ends, child. It was a good episode, 8 out of 10. Angela Oakley is thebomb.com. If y'all been watching me since my first review, I have been right about everybody. Angela is the breakout star. Shamia is the one who gets on everybody's nerves, even though they expect more from her. Britt is a boo. And Drew Sidora, she is an actress, but that young lady, she let Dennis get a little too close. Okay. Y'all talk to me in the comments and let me know what y'all think. Hit the like button, share the video, become a subscriber if you are not already. Follow me on all my platforms at DYANAROZAY. I appreciate every single one of y'all for rocking with me, and I'll check you on the next one.